Hello, how are you? I'm Matthew, host of Truth from the Booth here on Folked Up Radio. Thanks for allowing me and my guest to share space with you today, this winter solstice day, marking the shortest day and the longest night of the year. My guest today, well, we first connected earlier this month. A simple message, but behind it, a much bigger story. Jennifer Cameron lives in Kentville, Nova Scotia. She works one-on-one with the unhoused and will soon be handing out care packages, listening, and continuing to show up, not as a charity, as a neighbor. Jennifer came close to being unhoused twice. A good landlord helped, bad relationships did not. And those near misses changed how she sees the people living in tents across their community. Jennifer has rules around Christmas. For instance, Jennifer doesn't decorate until after December 6th. We'll discuss that for sure. And this year she watched a young child step onto a stage for their first Christmas concert and shine. We'll also talk about Bobby's Way, the values that guide the work, who they're seeing on the streets, where people are coming from, why are they there, who's helping, and who isn't. This isn't a policy conversation. It's a human one. I'm Matthew, and this is Truth from the Booth. Jennifer and I talk after this. I am the breath that fogs your windows and steals the warmth from your fingertips. I've walked this earth longer than your oldest stories, dragging my cloak of frost behind me. I don't come to be cruel. I come because it's my nature. I sculpt the world in white, sharpen the nights, test the strength of every roof, every spirit. I am the creak in the trees at midnight, the wind that prowls alleyways, the cold that settles into bones people wish I'd leave alone. Some greet me with fires and thick quilts, but others face me with nothing but thin canvas, layered clothes, and courage I never meant to challenge. I am not heartless, just ancient. I arrive because the seasons demand it, but even I can feel the weight of those who suffer under my watch. When I howl through the streets, I know not everyone has a place to hide. I am winter, relentless, yes, but never unaware. I want to know right now, in this moment, on this winter solstice day, what's your...
Great.
Yeah, fantastic. Considering the weather that we just had here over the weekend, where's your, on a scale of 1 to 10, where is your mental health right now, Jennifer?
Given everything but I'm dealing with it well, I'd say about an 8.
About an 8? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk today about you getting out onto the streets of Kentville, and we're going to talk about your initiation, the process of getting some care packages together. Where would you say the mental wellness is for those that you're dealing with on the street, just so we can get a contrast here?
Oh, probably about a 4.
A 4, okay.
Yeah.
The engagements that you're having with those that you will be giving those packages to, the conversations that you've already had, are very meaningful, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They've been very deep and informative.
Now, let's get to know you a little bit more before we get into this wonderful thing that you're going to be doing for those that are just in a tough spot in Kentville. And you'll be doing this with Michelle Hiltz, I believe.
That's right.
Okay, and Michelle's been on the show, and that's how we first connected. You reached out to me on Messenger on December 6th. It was a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of went back and forth. I was a little bit ill, so this conversation has been postponed a bit, but it's always good to get it as current as possible. So let's get to know you a little bit. And just going off some of your own social media, you shared one of my shows on November 25th. I guess I want to start by asking you, how did you first become aware of me and what I was doing?
Michelle,
okay.
yes. I wouldn't have known anything about you, your program, or anything if it wasn't for Michelle Hiltz.
Okay, so Michelle informs you that, hey, Matthews has a couple platforms where he can get your information out there. You, at that time, was the idea to get the care packages already planted?
The idea came from you, actually, where you have been doing it in Halifax. I thought, why can't we do something on a similar scale around Kentville?
Okay, so the group Hugs that is giving the packages to me inspired you to do the same thing in Kentville.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay, so where are you in the process with that? I know Michelle is going to be helping you out.
Yes, we have already purchased some small things for the care packages, some treats and snacks and whatnots. I've asked a couple of local businesses if they're able to donate things like toiletries, your toothpaste, toothbrush, and non-alcoholic mouthwash. Also, Michelle has been in touch with some local people and have got some monetary funds happening so that we're able to do so.
Now, again, just going off your social media post, what you have described that are going to be going into those care packages, you have a pretty good idea of the practical items that should be in there because you're already dealing with people. But can you talk a little bit about your couple of experiences where you were on the doorstep of being unhoused? And again, you can share as much or as little, but again, just to give the story some color.
Yeah, the first time that I was almost unhoused was 2016. I was going through a hard time stemming from problems with WCB. I had a chronic pain illness at the time called CRPS, and fighting WCB for a couple of years. It had led us, me and my husband at the time, to go bankrupt. It's gotten that far in the fight, in the struggle with WCB, that I had no income after the 2 years that they had to hold my job, and the house was in jeopardy. Now, the only reason why we were able to keep the house at the time was the brokerage that we went through showed us how to keep the house and still go bankrupt at the same time. So when my husband left in 2016, I wasn't sure if I was able to keep the house myself. It was about 8 months gone by, and we actually got back together. So that was my first escape from the streets. The second time was just recently. Again, my husband and I, we split up, and this time we split up for a final time. I had to take in boarders. I had 4 of them, actually, plus myself living at the house. And I was able to keep the house going, and I was able to give them a place to live because 2 people came from the local shelter, Open Arms. One was going to be on the streets because he had no place to go, and one was my partner at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So we made it work. It was a good house. We had fun. It was enjoyable.
What were you learning about yourself as all this was unfolding? Because you really had to, like, you and reaching out to the right people and having the right people come into your home when needed, really, like, that's the first time I've heard that story. I want people to know this is the first time that Jennifer and I are talking, and just listening to those 2 realistic scenarios, my heart is racing, Jennifer. I can't imagine. You say your mental wellness on a scale of 1 to 10 is 8 right now. Let's go back to 2016 when all this was like, I can't even imagine. Let's call it what it is, getting screwed over by WCB.
Mm-hmm. And at the time, too, my doctor had let me go, and it was just before I ended up going into the hospital for 10 days with psychosis. So that was the beginning of the beginning of the diagnosis of my mental illness.
Well, I tell people all the time that the human psyche can only take so much, and what you were handed in a very short period of time makes sense why you were a 10-day psychosis. Wow, just unbelievable, Jennifer. Wow.
What I called it the perfect storm at the time.
Absolutely.
Because
Okay.
not only fighting WCB, you had the pain of this chronic pain disease too, which it's dubbed as the suicide disease. So it's very hard to manage. So no, my mental illness, my mental stability at the time was not an ace.
Intense conversation, Jennifer. Okay, so bring us up to speed to the this winter solstice, the latter part of December 2025. What type of situation are you in currently, if you don't mind me asking?
No problem. I have a friend who's staying with me, a single mom. She's going to be here temporarily until the new year, until she has a problem sorted out herself. And at that time, I have another new roommate coming in to help me cover the bills here. My partner and I have temporarily split up, and I needed somebody, or once again for the third time, I'll be looking at the streets. This time, I have the luck of a great landlord who insisted that I stay and that I find somebody.
Yeah, good landlords and bad relationships can make all the difference in the world.
Definitely. That can be one of the factors actually leading into the streets as well.
Well, I say this on this program. I say it on my live streams. People need to understand that there is a multitude of circumstances and reasons why people are on the street. And you just told me another one. Like, I had never heard of, just fighting with WCB and just getting behind and going into bankruptcy. Like, again, people's
and I'm
worlds.
just a regular Joe Blow with no hang-ups, no addictions. And that's one thing I'd like to bring light to a lot of homelessness, unhoused, and everything, is that, there's a lot of it out there, don't get me wrong, but it's not everybody and everything. There's a lot of common people out there working homeless.
Oh, absolutely. What type of, when you are walking through the streets and you see someone who you want to have a conversation with, what types of conversations are you having? Like, what reassurances, if any, are you giving these people that are out on the street? I know it's not your job, but as a civilian, as another human, what are you telling these people?
It's hard to keep morale up when they don't have big morale to begin with. But the biggest thing is to have that listening ear.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might not have the right words. You might not know what to say, and you're not trained to say. But as long as you have that open ear and they have somebody to listen to, that person, to reciprocate that, this person's actually listening to me and caring. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Yes. Just acknowledging that they exist. And that's one of the things I hear from people that are unhoused. They're just, it's disappointing to them. Well, it's beyond disappointing, but to have other humans just look down at them because of the situation they currently find themselves in, it's just
especially when they're fighting, to stay afloat.
Oh, yes. Like, everyone's going through struggles. So that was just a really intense few moments. Let's change gears a little bit as we are getting ready for the Christmas season. Again, just going back to your social media, can you quickly talk about, I believe you were watching someone's first Christmas concert? What was that about? Do you have a son, Carter, one of your kids?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my little buddy who's staying with me right now.
Okay. Can you
Yes.
describe, again, we're just changing gears, what we just talked about. Let's talk about some Christmas stuff. What's it like to see a loved one up on stage for the first time at their Christmas concert?
Amazing. The feeling that comes over you, and you see that little one and how proud they are, and just can't wait to belt out the tunes and be a part of the whole Christmas season. I mean, now that I'm going to have these two little ones here for Christmas, I haven't had little ones around in a long time, so we're actually looking forward to this.
Fantastic. No, this is just a beautiful, beautiful time of year. When it comes to Christmas cooking, are you more of I'm going to go out and buy it, or I'm going to stay home and bake it?
Well, I wish I had the time and energy to bake. I do a little bit of baking, but not a whole lot. I'm always on the go. Somebody always needs a drive or an ear or something. I'm usually pulled in the daytime in a lot of directions. Twitch is no problem with me. I enjoy that, but it doesn't give me a whole lot of time to bake. So no, I cheat and buy.
Okay. Are there any particular locations that you go to? Do you want to give a shout out to any locals, or are you just going into the big box stores and getting goods there?
No, a lot of local, just small pharmacies, PharmaSafe there in Minus, and the Ultramar, Park Street Ultramar, where Bobby used to hang out quite a bit, and I got to know Bobby, Michelle's brother. He's donating as well. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of who else, but we're not really concentrating on a whole lot of donations. We're more so going to utilize this money that we can to make small purchases, and we're going to have a fund, and hopefully that fund will be able to build and be able to do bigger and better things as we continue to grow. Although we're not going to grow too large, because it's just going to be the two of us.
So for now, you just like that number, just you and Michelle going out and doing your thing.
Yeah. This is kind of our little project that we want to do to bring a nice memory to Bobby Hiltz's name.
Can you?
This is something Bobby would have loved.
Oh, absolutely. Just can you explain a little bit about, or maybe someday Michelle could join you, or you can talk about it together. But what exactly is Bobby's Way? Can you explain that?
Well, Bobby's Way is basically. He was always looking out. I didn't know him all that long, so it's just my brief perception of him was he was always looking out for the other man, for somebody else. He's a very caring individual. That what made us think, we should really name our project after Bobby, because that was his way, his way of doing things.
Okay, that makes more sense. So what you'll be doing in Kentville, handing out these packages, this is Bobby's way.
Right. The way he would have done it once he got back on his feet, because he was heading towards that direction.
Fantastic. What a great way just a great tribute, and just a great way to keep his memory alive. And I think that was fairly important. Well, not fairly, it was really important to Michelle. So good on the both of you for doing that. That's fantastic.
Hopefully it'll be very therapeutic for both of us.
It is for me, so I'm sure it will be for you as well. Can I ask, who are you seeing on the streets of Kentville? Like ages, like who's out there?
Every walk of life, everything. There's a lot of seniors, unfortunately. There's only one or two that I personally I know see that's under 20, which that's promising. Former working people, the mentally impaired. There are drug addicts. We do know that, and hopefully they can change their life around as well. And people who are already feeling defeated. That's who I'm seeing on the streets.
Do you get a sense that most of the individuals are from Kentville, or people coming from other areas?
There's a few locals, but a lot of people I know are there's quite a few from New Brunswick. There's one gentleman, he was from BC. Yeah,
I guess just moving around, sometimes you just roll the dice, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. What organizations are in the Kentville area? Open Arms is there?
Yes, we have Open Arms. We also have a secondary shelter called In From the Cold. That's run by John Andrews. We also have new to us within the last year. They're called pellet homes, but it's addressed as tiny meadows around here.
And how many occupants are at Tiny Meadows?
I believe there's 20 homes up there.
20 homes.
And they're building more.
They're building more.
They're in process of building more.
I'd like to get your thoughts on just the lack of building that seems to be quite apparent. I mean, to me anyway, I just see more stories on the news about they're getting ready to build. We're just so far behind in building. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. I do. You see construction happening, all right, but it's okay for those who can afford, $2,500 rents.
Well, I think the people in that bracket is getting less. Like, not many people, no one I know can afford $2,500 a month, and minimum wage, I think here in Nova Scotia is going to hit $17.50.
I've heard that
in October.
Okay.
But let's be real. Everyone needs to be making in the mid-20s. That I think that's more of a livable wage, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're living like Albertans, but without the wage.
Let's get back to the packages. I just want to have a few more moments of your time. I know you have a busy day. What initially is going to be going into these care packages? And I think you just said you won't be really approaching any businesses. Is this something that you're going to make purchases and do this that way?
We're doing a combination of both.
Okay.
Doing a little combination of both. So far, we haven't assembled the package totally, and we're just been in discussions there with it. Right now, I've got some treat spots, some granola bars, that sort of thing. We were talking about water, of course, and warm socks. That's one thing I do find a lot around town, and especially outside the bank machines, is socks. People, their socks get wet, and they take them off. And one of the young homeless persons I ran into just yesterday, he commented about wet socks. He says it's better to have no socks than wet socks.
Yeah,
they do need socks.
Absolutely. And my suggestion, and I just did a show Friday night telling people that if you are going out to buy socks for the unhoused, I've always been told wool socks and just white or no color, because when the socks get wet, the color in the socks could run into sores, open wounds on people's feet, and it just makes it worse. So
okay, good to know.
Yeah, that's exactly what, and I've heard that from those that are on the street. So I'm not making this up. So I definitely want people to be in the proper socks when they're out there. But yeah, it's funny that now that you mention that, the next time I see a pair of socks just next to a trash can or just somewhere in the street, it'll make me think, okay, someone's
walking around no socks on.
Oh, I've seen people walking around in the wintertime with, speaking of socks, last winter, someone that I had known from Grand Parade Square was on a corner on Gottingen, and the first thing I noticed was he was in sandals and no socks. And this was January. And I just happened to have, I had half a dozen socks in my backpack, just things I was handing out. So I ran across the street and gave him some socks. I do want to ask you one final thing about Christmas, but is there anything in closing? Again, this is just an initial conversation. I'd like to follow your journey, but I think it's important to bring stories like this to people's attention, that there's a lot of suffering out there in the world, and there's a lot of good people who are trying to just brighten people's day, as sometimes just the act of giving them a bottle of water or a small package, or just acknowledging that they exist. So is there anything in closing before we get to the Christmas bit that you want to say about this project that you'll be starting with Michelle, Bobby's Way?
I'm looking forward to it. I most of the people that I know are in shelters or have thankfully found homes. But I have spoken to the local bylaw officer, and he's going to help me find those, because apparently there's still 20 tents still around Kentville at this time of year.
20
Even
tents.
though we have 3 shelters, there's still 20 tents.
Well, you know just as well as I do that I'm not going to say most, but there are people out there who would prefer to ride it out in a tent than go into a shelter.
Yeah, and they need to. They some people have the social anxieties.
Mm-hmm.
And other anxieties there that they just cannot handle. There was one gentleman who used to be around here last year. I haven't seen him this year, but he was a survivalist. He had everything. You'd see him at the Ultramar in the mornings, and he'd have his backpack, and he'd have his tent all rolled up. He'd have his sleeping bag all rolled up, his ground sheet all rolled up, all nice and neatly. You knew what he was doing. He's been there for a long time by the sounds of it. Just wandering around from place to place. Unfortunately, I never got into a conversation with him. He was always to himself.
Mm-hmm.
But he seemed like a really nice gentleman, and I know the staff at the Ultramar always loved seeing him coming.
Yeah, you can't judge a book by its cover, right?
No, you just never know. Everybody has a story. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a story.
Absolutely. One final story from you, and I thought this was rather interesting, and going back to your social media, this was a pretty important day for me, as it was for many Nova Scotians and many Canadians, as we remembered the 118th anniversary of the Halifax explosion on December 6th. One of your social media posts, you say that you have Christmas rules, and I'm wondering if you can explain that. But why do you choose not to decorate for Christmas until after December 6th?
I've been doing this ever since I've been on my own, like in my teenage 20s, whatever. I always felt, as a Nova Scotian and as a Haligonian, that it was kind of hard to celebrate and feel joyful when our city was going through such tragedy on that day. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I'll never decorate after on November 11th," and they recognize that. And so anyway, I always just took it like one step further and thought, this is home. This is close. This is our relatives. This is our ancestors, our past. And so I didn't want to lose the fact that, Halifax and Nova Scotia were going through such tragedy just before their supposedly joyous time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I appreciate the clarification. I just thought that I'd never, I'd always heard, I'm not going to decorate until after Remembrance Day. But I guess, speaking with someone who is from Nova Scotia, did you have any family, like in the family tree, that had that was affected by that disaster?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay. Jennifer, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to have this conversation. I'm really excited for you and Michelle to get Bobby's Way underway in Kentville, and I know the people on the streets will definitely be better for having you in their life. Yes?
Yes, and thank you very much for taking an interest in our project and in Kentville.
Yeah, this is what this program is all about. If you have something that you want to share, it doesn't necessarily have to be about dealing with the unhoused, but I use social media, I use these platforms to share other people's stories, which is exactly what I did. So Jennifer Cameron in Kentville, thank you so much. Enjoy winter solstice.
Oh, thank you very much. Certainly will, Mass.
Next Sunday, the final Sunday of the year, I'll be speaking with Trevor Redmond, a.k.a. the Fellow in Yellow, frequent guest of the show. Trevor has crossed Canada not once, not twice, but thrice. Yes, they've walked it, they've biked it, now they are running it. Coast to coast, 3 separate journeys, thousands of kilometers each time. The conversation isn't about records or finish lines. It's about what Canada looks like at a human speed, and what the road teaches you, and what keeps pulling someone back across an entire country again and again and again. The Fellow in Yellow, next Sunday. Christmas is 4 days away. However you celebrate the holidays, do it safely. I'm Matthew. From all of us here at Truth from the Booth, season's greetings. Now, back to your holiday soundtrack on Canada's #1 folk station, 99.9 FM Perth Andover, and folkedupradio.com.